Hi everyone, welcome to Film Log update number 30, covering most of the films that I've watched or rewatched during September and October this year, 2024 of course. So yes, we are back and ready for another Film Log update video, and this time the 30th. So it's been quite a few on the channel so far, and yeah, obviously condensing 2 months into this video as always, and at the end we'll be discussing my favourite first watches of each month, and yeah, just going through these films in a kind of informal way, laptop in front of me, so you may hear something and that's just the laptop of course, and yeah, just kind of using this for my diary to kind of go through what I've been watching. Not every single film will be mentioned here, but most of them will be, just to get kind of talking points and just to log simply what we've been doing over these last few months in terms of cinema. And so yeah, with all that said, let's get into the video. And first of all, to mention will be some of the carry-on films I was kind of going through during September, starting with the 1st of September, going through most of the carry-on films I hadn't seen this time round again, rewatched and obviously reviewed those films. So we've got Matron, we've got Constable, Cabby, Regardless, Dick, and we had Behind as well. Those were the main ones that I was watching in September, and obviously I finished off reviewing those films on the channel, and yeah, that was followed by of course the ranking, which was early October kind of thing, and I got a full ranking on there of the carry-on films. So if you're interested in that, of course, the rankings on the channel, and I went through all 30 main films, and obviously finishing off the reviews of the films that I mentioned individually, and then yeah, put all this together in the ranking as I usually do, and I go through a series, and yeah, that was really fun to do, and had a great time doing that video, and yeah, just if you're interested, that is on the channel, of course, on the playlist and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that was fun to do, and that is for now, the carry-on films, but I will be doing, obviously, in the future, kind of different carry-on lists, top 10s and this kind of stuff. So the content doesn't end there, but yeah, that was really fun to do, and it's kind of over the course of more than a year, kind of going through, this project of watching some and then rewatching again a lot of the carry-on films and reviewing them. So yeah, that was amazing to do, and loved doing that, and it'd be great to hear your thoughts. So aside from the carry-on films in September, I did watch quite a few films and rewatch some as well. So first being Dinosaur, of course, very kind of divisive Disney film from 2000. It's quite a divisive film. It's not really too popular really, and I think this is the one that I do have great memories of, and I do personally love this film. It was actually, I may have said this before, probably not. I did review this film quite a few years ago now on the channel, but yeah, this was the first film that I actually saw in the cinema. So because I was obsessed with dinosaurs, still am, and obviously Disney, and so this was kind of a perfect one, for me, that I was taking to see. I just turned 4, a few months before this, and yeah, just went to see this, and just very memorable for me, and it's the one that I do love. Kind of seen it many times, and I think rewatching it again, it's kind of, there's certain elements of this that have kind of grown on me even more actually from last time round, and it's definitely among the better Disney films for me. It's better than a lot of them, and there's definitely some flaws with the film, but it's nothing too major for me, and I find the characters engaging, the comedy, and just the epic scope and nature of this, and throughout, it's just definitely an adventure film that I really gravitate towards, and yeah, just really enjoy this one. Personally love this film. So that was Dinosaur. Then we have Steps at Sea, rewatching this one again, and I absolutely love this film. Lauren Hardy, of course, feature film, the last Hal Roach produced Lauren Hardy film, so quite significant there, from 1940, and yeah, it's just the one that I've grew up watching as well, kind of over the years, and it was one of the first kind of feature films that I saw from Lauren Hardy, and it's just from start to finish, what a film. I reviewed this quite a few years ago now, but yeah, it's one that I do love, and for me, a masterpiece. So there we go. Then I saw another Bond film, rewatching a couple more of the Bonds, because very soon will be, by the end of the year, of course, once again, the ranking of the James Bond films, and that will be the full ranking of the 25 official James Bond films, and just watching a couple more to kind of get the ranking precise. And For Your Eyes Only was the one that I watched in September, and I do love this film personally, and yeah, it's definitely one that I count among my favourites in the series, and yeah, it was really just great to see a Bond film again. It's been quite a while, quite a few months since I'd seen a Bond film. So yeah, it's just it was great stuff, and really a nice kind of night to watch Bond film. So there we go, and then we have Mulholland Drive. Might as well mention this one, and of course a David Lynch film, and I think it's obviously a very popular film, and it's a one that I'd been kind of interested to check out. Not desperate to see over the years, but I've been hearing different things about this, and it's one of the more talked about David Lynch films, and I think there was some elements that I enjoyed about this one, but overall it just wasn't for me. I thought this film was pretty bad actually, and it's a film that baffles me, as to why certain things happen in this. I did find this film quite random, most of the time, and I found, even though there's some random elements, which is something I'm personally not big on, in cinema. It's just random for the sake of it, and you have to kind of at the end of the film look online to see what things meant, because it could be so many different possibilities. I just think that's one of the things I really don't like in cinema, when it's done like this. And I just found, even though there's some things to praise, like the visuals, some performances, in this film, and I guess, some of the way the film was built up, there was some aspects here and there that I kind of, appreciated. Overall, it was just mostly a miserable experience for me. Didn't enjoy the narrative, the characters, the tone of this film was not for me at all. And, I just found, at times the script and what the characters were saying was just, it was pretty, kind of, I wasn't big on that, and it just went on and on, and I wasn't a fan of this at all. I watched it, I gave it a go, and I watched it till the end. In the past, I probably would have put it off, but I wanted to just kind of say that I've seen this film, and I can judge the entire film. It may have got better a bit, who knows. So I just kind of sat through this, but in the end, it's definitely not a film that I enjoyed really at all, and it's quite baffling film to me, and it was quite a miserable experience. So there we go, just being honest there with Mulholland Drive, and not one of my favourites from David Lynch. Definitely, I've seen a few of his films now, and there's some ones that I love, but this one is definitely not one that I personally love. Then we have How to Train Your Dragon 2, the sequel, of course, to a film that I saw at the end of August, and really, I loved that film, and this one I did really enjoy as well. As a follow-up, as a sequel, I thought it done a lot of things right. Some things that I, actually personally preferred to the first film, and I thought the animation once again was great. I did probably prefer the visuals, having said that, the colour palette and all this to the first film, to this one personally. But I did enjoy the scope of this one, and just where the characters were, and just how it built upon the first film. Really enjoyed this one. That was the sequel to How to Train Your Dragon, and it was a really fun film as well. So there we have Deep Impact. A couple of days after that, and this is a film, end of the world film, natural disaster film that I saw a couple of times as a kid, as well, and I think Elijah Wood is great in this film, and I think from the 90s there's quite a lot, obviously, kind of films like this, end of the world films, Armageddon as well, coming out in the same year as this, another one that I saw as a kid, and this one, it's a fine film, it's a pretty solid film. It's just, I think some of the things going on in this film could have been a bit more kind of enjoyable. It's quite a dark film for this kind of subject matter, I guess. Most films like this are a bit more fun and kind of silly. This one, it takes itself very seriously. For me, that just kind of lessens my enjoyment a bit of this film potentially. But I did enjoy this one, and I found it to be investing. Some of the characters, and just the overall kind of I guess narrative of this film, the progression of it, I did get behind, and it's a fine film that I've seen a few times, and just not one of my favourite kind of natural disaster, end of the world kind of films personally, but it's a good solid film, and definitely some things to praise in this one. So there we go, Deep Impact, and day after that, a couple of rewatches in the same day. We have The Pink Panther Strikes Again and Mission Impossible Fallout, and I think Pink Panther Strikes Again, first of all, it's a film that I really, really love, and it's one of my absolute favourite, kind of Pink Panther films, and it's the one that I did see the most as a kid. This is the one that I rewatched of the series the most, and it's just absolutely hilarious. There's some, I think, aspects of the middle of the film it's not quite as funny. Definitely some lulls there, but then it picks up again in the final act. But the first 45 minutes, it's just some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen consistently, and Peter Sellers in this film is so great, and it's just it's a film I do love overall, and it was great to see this again. Mission Impossible Fallout. This is one of my favourite Mission Impossible films. I think this and Rogue Nation have kind of changed over the years for me. In my ordering of them, but this one I do love, and it's one of my favourite kind of modern action films, and I've seen this. This was my third watch, I believe. I've seen it at the cinema once before, physical media, and now again, and had to actually changed the disc halfway through because the 4K, there was something wrong with this and it didn't play after the kind of 30-minute mark, and then I put in the Blu-ray, and interesting fact, it was a better experience. The 4K on Mission Impossible Fallout for me, and we won't want to get into all that, but sometimes for me 4Ks aren't actually my personal preference. It was duller. It was really duller. Of course, there was it did look more crisp, but when I put in the Blu-ray, because before you just have to kind of see this for now on Blu-ray, the noticeable difference, the colours, the brightness, everything, it was way more. It was better for me, and there's many different reasons for that. In a lot of modern 4Ks, films that have come out in the last few years. But regardless, there are some great 4Ks out there. But I watched it on Blu-ray, and it was a better experience. And it's quite interesting to see the film in a different way. Seeing a lot more brightness, a lot more colour to this. It's just more of a vibrant experience, and it's quite a bizarre little kind of anecdote there, but yeah, I watched it on Blu-ray. So I kind of changed my stance over the last few years on 4K. It's not always the way to go. There are ones that are better, of course, than Blu-ray, and a lot of classics as well. That's for sure. They do enhance them, but when they're kind of playing around with HDR and the encoding and all this kind of stuff, which is too long to kind of get into, I'm not personally a fan of the way they've done a lot of the 4Ks, in recent years, and so yeah, that's a fun little note there. But Mission Impossible Fallout, is an absolute masterpiece for me, and it's one of the best modern action films, and I absolutely love this one. So yeah, great memories of this, and seeing it again, it's really cool to do. So there we go. Then we have Milk from Gus Van Sant, a film that of course explores the life of Harvey Milk, and with Sean Penn playing this character, and I did really like this film. At first, it was a bit chaotic, a bit frantic, and it was just all over the place really at times, and it was hard to really get truly invested in this because of that. It was very just jumping around, but then after the sort of 20-30 minute mark, it became more and more investing as we went over the film, and definitely in the end very moving, and performances of course from Sean Penn and James Franco in particular, absolutely amazing in this film, and really enjoyed this film, and it's definitely quite a moving one, so great to finally see this one as well. Then we have Bolt, a Disney film that I hadn't yet seen, and it was pretty standard for me, quite uninvesting. Some moments I did find it quite cute at first, and I enjoyed this film, but it's more of just a very bare bones average for me, and it's just quite a forgettable animated film from Disney for me personally, and not much more to say there. It was definitely a middling Disney film, not bad at all, but certainly not one that I could see myself rewatching much over the years. So there we go, Bolt. Cold Pursuit, Liam Neeson kind of action film again. It's set in the snow. This was not one that I enjoyed. It was very cold, but not just that. It was a very weird tone. One of the most bizarre films that I've seen in a while, and just stuff that happens in the final act as well. Some of the most bizarre things. But yeah, it just wasn't really for me. Enjoyed elements. Liam Neeson was really good in this film, but it was just a bit of a kind of unenjoyable one for me, and not that investing really. A lot of the characters, the vibe of this, the tone just wasn't really to my liking. Then we have Pardon Us, the very first feature film from Lauren Hardy, and this is one that I do love as well, and it's one that I did review as well recently, and that's a good film to review, and recommend checking that out to see my full thoughts on this. Not one of the very best Lauren Hardy films, but it's definitely one that I do love, and it's just really cool to see this again, and not one that I've seen loads over the years really, but yeah, it was cool to see it again, and that was of course on Blu-ray this time round. And then we have Amistad, of course, from Spielberg. Now this is one of the last feature films that I had to see from him, and just one that I never really got round to before the others, and this is one that is very, very kind of investing. I find this to be overall very, very solid. I think there's some moments in this film that are really quite something. I think the film at first, there's definitely moments where it wasn't as investing, at times, but it became more and more, kind of immersive as the film went on, and by the end of it, again, definitely a moving film, just quite inconsistent at times, and not a film that's one of Spielberg's best, but it's definitely, better than I think it's given credit for. It's got a lot of kind of emotional moments, and it's definitely very well acted and well made film. So it just doesn't quite compare to a lot of the best Spielberg films. It kind of gets a bit more lost in the shuffle, lesser talked about, but it's definitely a film that I praise and enjoyed, and it's definitely moved by as well. So there we go, Amistad. Of course, then we have Chef. Now, this is a film that I absolutely loved from Jon Favreau, and I did review this film as well fairly recently, so you can check out my thoughts on that, if you want the kind of full going down the film. But yeah, as a first time watch, absolutely love this film, and it was just so inspiring, so kind of jolly, and upbeat, and just, yeah, and loved it from start to finish. So yeah, there we go. Chef from 2014. Then we have Mad Max 2. Finally seeing this film in 2018. I kind of talked about Mad Max, the first one, and then as well, Fury Road, at some point in that year, and never got around to continuing the trilogy that I had on Blu-ray, and finally saw this one, and it's not a film that I love at all. I'm not really personally big on the Mad Max films, other than Fury Road, actually, and I haven't seen the third film of the trilogy yet, but I'll be checking it out at some point, fairly soon. But yeah, Mad Max 2, definitely enjoyed elements of this, and it was overall it's an okay film for me. I think Mel Gibson was great in this at times, and it's not really my kind of thing, my vibe. The characters, the world, the tone of this, and just the script, and just the way that things are done in this film. It's just not really something I'm personally big on. It's a bit kind of silly and not in a kind of enjoyable way. It just and just definitely moments that go on a bit too long. And yeah, it was an okay film. I enjoyed it, but it's not one that I would go back to a lot. And it's just I'm not really big on the Mad Max films. As well, we have Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. I saw a couple of days after, and for the first time saw this, and wasn't big on that. Personally either. So the only one that I love, is Fury Road, and I'm not big on the first one either. So it's definitely not personally one of my favourite franchises. Furiosa was definitely an okay film as well. Had some things to praise. I think the first hour of the film was really strong, but it went off the rails after that. And both interesting films to see for the first time. But yeah, as I say, not huge on Mad Max as a franchise. So with all respect, but there we go. There's the two films there. Then we have Blade, of course. The first Blade film, and this is the one that I really enjoy, and I reviewed this film as well recently. This is the one that I saw quite a few times as a kid, and this was one of the very first kind of proper kind of violent horror films that I saw when I was 8, and snuck into my parents' room and kind of stole it out of the room and watched it on TV in my room, and just had to turn it off immediately the first scene because it was so scary, and gradually went back to the film and kind of watched it entirely, and it's a really fun film. Really good performances in this, and just a really cool kind of superhero horror film, and comedy at times, and action film. So it's got a lot going on, and really enjoy this one. And again, check out my review for the full thoughts on this one. But yeah, had a great time watching this again, and certainly just close to kind of October month, it was cool to do this as well. So there we go. Then we have the Amityville Horror, of course, the original from the 70s, and this is the one that I do enjoy. It's definitely not one of my favourite horrors, but it's a one that I do enjoy, and I prefer this to the the remake as well. And just a cool film to see again. I've seen it a couple of times over the years, and just some cool iconic moments in this, and really nice to see as a build up to the Halloween month, and just. That was the last film to talk about of that month. Renfield as well. I won't really go into that. It wasn't a film that I was big on, but I reviewed it, as well. And you can check out my review for that. But wasn't big on Renfield. Wanted so much more from Nicolas Cage. Kind of Dracula film. Didn't really get it. There we go for that. The first film of October was Halloween 2018. Now this is the one that I did see once before. Back in. It was 2019, I believe. I saw this film, and enjoyed it, and I think this time round there's a few things I picked up on that I wasn't huge on, and was reminded of again, and it's an okay film, definitely I guess one of the better Halloween films in the franchise. It's not comparable to the original for me, but it's one that it's not really as fun. I personally find on this note a lot of very modern slasher films just not really as fun. It's not just as enjoyable to sit down and watch. They're definitely going for different elements. They're trying to in this film, for example, for the franchise, they're trying to amp up the kills, make them more violent and all this kind of stuff. But other than that, I think it lacks a charm, and it lacks a kind of enjoyability compared to slashers of the past. I just think slasher films are not as charming, not as kind of fun to kind of sit down and watch, and not as warm as ones in the past. So it's just an okay film, just not a film that I'm huge on personally. But yeah, it was fine to rewatch, and cool to see it. The first film of the month of Halloween, and it's been great to kind of go through different various horror films obviously for the month. But yeah, Halloween for the first, and then we have Friday the 13th, the original, and this is a film that I do enjoy. I would, for example, noting on that, I think I do prefer this to Halloween 2018. This is more of my kind of thing, just more not more silly, but more not taking itself as seriously, and it's more charming. It's more kind of the cinematography and all this. It's just my kind of thing. I don't really like the dull look of a lot of modern films, and I think this one is nice and bright. You've got funny moments in this, and it's just more pleasant to watch. I did review, of course, the first 6 Friday the 13th films, this one included, so you can check out my thoughts. As for the second one and third one, again, enjoyable films. The fourth one, and we have the fifth and sixth, quite different films for the franchise, and just simply check out my reviews. I won't kind of get into them now, and I did enjoy going through these films though, and decided to leave the seventh one for now, and we'll be resuming the series kind of the next week or so, and going back to the series to talk about those films on the channel. But I think the first 6 are very different, and there's a kind of as well yet another kind of separation after the 4th film in the franchise. 5 and 6 are definitely different still, but I think after the 6th film they're more kind of silly and more fantastical, and leaning a lot more into the kind of unbelievable nature of this, obviously with Jason and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, really enjoy going through these films, and had a really great nostalgic time watching the first 6 films again. So yeah, that was quarter 2, and we have Toad in the Hole, of course, Lauren Hardy kind of short film, classic for me, that I reviewed recently, and it's just one of the best for me short films, and it's just hilarious, so creative with the comedy, the slapstick, and it's just the progression of this narrative, I absolutely love. And check out my review for that, Toad in the Hole, and Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. This is a Scooby-Doo film that I'd never seen before, and wasn't big on this one personally. It's not like any of the other Scooby-Doo films, TV that I've seen, and it was just quite a throwaway film to me. It's one that you just kind of, I personally, watched it, and I don't think I'd watch it again, and it wasn't really that funny, and just the way it was made and put together, wasn't really the Scooby-Doo standards for me, and it was one that I wanted to see, of course. I hadn't seen this before, but yeah, was very disappointed in this one. But yeah, later on in the month I did see Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, and this is a one that I do absolutely love. I reviewed that film, of course, for the month of October, and had a great time watching that again. That's the one that I saw many, many times as a kid. Just great memories attached to this one. Of course, a lot of the VHS films, the first few I saw as a kid, the direct-to-video Scooby-Doo films, and this is the very first one, in that case, 1998, and you could say this is probably the most popular Scooby-Doo film, and at least one of them, and so one that I did see a lot, as a kid. So check out my review for that. It's recently up, and had a great time rewatching this. I just love this film so much, and it's just really nostalgic. I haven't seen it for so many years. I was probably 11 the last time I saw this one, and that's pretty insane. Being kind of 28 now, and just never got around to kind of rewatching this one. It's great to do, and I will be going through a lot of these Scooby-Doo films, on the channel, rewatching them, of course, reviewing them individually. So that'll be cool to do, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts as well, discussing Scooby-Doo on the channel. And 2 Laurel Hardy horror films to talk about here. You have Oliver the Eighth, and of course, the Laurel Hardy murder case as well. And watch these 2, Lauren Hardy shorts, because they are the more horror-based ones, and love both of these films. Reviewed them as well. And Oliver the Eighth, it's quite a bizarre film at times, very different, and I do love this film, and especially the second half of it. And as well, the Laurel Hardy murder case is just simply one of the classic Lauren Hardy shorts, and I had a great time watching this, a bit closer to Halloween, and it's just a nostalgic film to me. I've seen it many, many times, and it's just, from start to finish, this is a special one. So yeah, it was great to do that. And then we have Halloween Kills. This is a one, of course, a follow-up to Halloween 2018, and this is a one that I did not, I wasn't big on at all. It represents a lot of, stuff I do not like, about modern horror and modern cinema in general, and just, kind of aspects of society, and just the cold, nasty, spiteful stuff, in this film was not very pleasant to watch at all, and it's just don't know why it was done like this. This film again lacking the simply having fun with a slasher. It's so dark and so horrible, nasty at times. I found this film personally that I just I didn't like this one, and some enjoyable elements. Anthony Michael Hall in this film. It was cool to see him, and quite surprised actually to see him in this film. Really nice to see that. But yeah, just the characters, the vibe of this, the tone. It's very cold, and as I say, it felt very nasty and spiteful in the way a lot of this film was done, and completely just completely separating from the traditional kind of Michael Myers lore and all this, and it was just a really baffling film to me anyway. Halloween Ends is a film I enjoyed even less. Saw this a few days after, and just hated this one. This was a real low point for me of the franchise. Once again, nasty, cold stuff that's going on. Just baffling, and just completely different to what was first established in the franchise. For Michael Myers, I appreciate franchises can go different directions and do different things, but this is just too far. Taking it with Michael Myers himself and the whole lore and the aspects of this. It's just really really strange for me, and it was just quite a miserable film once again. So not big on these films. Recent Halloween films. Certainly we'll be talking about them again though. So eventually we'll be doing a ranking of the franchise. So yeah, look out for that. But this trilogy, these two films, after Halloween 2018, and not being big on at all. And I know they're divisive, but yeah, I just went in with an open mind and wasn't big on these ones. So there we go, and just wasn't a pleasant experience, especially with Halloween Ends. So then we have Inside Out 2, a couple of days after Halloween, Kills, and saw this one. I'm a massive fan of Inside Out, the first one, and it's one of the better, one of the best Pixar films for me. Absolutely love that film, and it's a real masterpiece for me. But Inside Out 2, wasn't hearing the best things about this. Again, went in from an open mind, but it was okay. It was fine. I think it just got better in the final act. Until that, it was very very just bare bones average. A little bit annoying, unfortunately, and just wasn't really for me too much. It did bring it together in the end, and it made some nice points. In the end, it just getting there. The kind of the journey to get to making those points, and it was just a bit kind of the way it was handled wasn't the best for me, and it wasn't the most investing and kind of fun films to watch either. But yeah, in the end, overall, it's a fine film. Definitely not one of my favourite Pixar films. It's quite low in my ranking, but it's a fine film. Just very disappointing compared to the first Inside Out film for me personally. But yeah, enjoyed the film. And then we have Poltergeist, of course, from 1982. Now this one I do love, and seeing it again, it's just it's a film I love even more this time around. Of course, Tobe Hooper directing this film, and Spielberg kind of directing this. I won't get into all that, but it's kind of from different things we hear over the years. It's kind of a joint effort, and it's just simply not a one that Spielberg is allowed to be credited with because of back in the day with E.T. Kind of a clause and all this prevented him from being able to direct officially other films, while making E.T. And now he did, from a lot of what we're hearing, do a lot of the storyboards, and did kind of direct as well. And it's kind of a joint effort, if not, it's kind of more of a Spielberg film in that sense, based on his influence over the entire project. And it certainly, watching the film, feels nothing less than a Spielberg film really. So it is quite a fascinating kind of entry there. And regardless of all that, I think everyone involved in the film done absolutely amazing. And the performances, the direction, and the music, of course. This is an iconic film, and it's one of my personal favourite horror films, and it's so warm and charming, and seeing it again just inspired me so much. This is the kind of filmmaking and the kind of cinema I personally love and respond to so much. Another kind of classic 80s horror film, and it's just great to see this during this month, and it really again made me inspired, and just really uplifted me and moved me as well. So yeah, quite a stunning film for me, Poltergeist. And then we have John Wick Chapter 2 and Scream in the same day. Rewatching both of these films. John Wick Chapter 2, absolutely love this one. One of my favourite modern action films, and it's just a cut above most of them. And Scream as well. Seeing this again, of course, one of the ultimate kind of comedy horror films, and just the meta nature of this, of course, as well. Wes Craven is just an absolute genius, and as well, just in terms of these Scream films, this is the one that I watched the most as a kid, and just saw this again and again, and absolutely love this one. Really, one of my favourite kind of horror films, in general, and it really is a genius film at times, and yeah, it's just seeing it again. It was one of my kind of favourite rewatches of the month, actually. So there we go. Scream from 1996. So then we have John Carpenter's Christine, of course, from 1983. I reviewed this film, uploaded it on Halloween itself, so that was cool to do. And yeah, it's a film I absolutely love. I would say check out my review if you want, much of my thoughts on this, because I can't really get into the film without spoiling it. And it's the one that just, of course, it's a Stephen King adaptation, and it's a one to just check out and see what you think of it. And I personally count it as one of my favourite horror films, and I think it's one of the very, very best John Carpenter films, of course, as well. So yeah, just absolutely love this one, and find it to be kind of, it's a film. When I first saw it, I was like kind of thinking, wow, this is really it's not as talked about as a lot of horror films, and yeah, it's one that blew me away, and it's just, I saw it as a kid, and I've seen it 3 times in total now, so yeah, absolutely love this one, and it was really great to see this again during this month of October, of course. And then we have The Conjuring, which surprisingly I hadn't seen for 5 years, and yeah, it's the last time I saw it, in 2019, and I reviewed that film, and I didn't review the second one, I don't believe. So yeah, I'll be at some point probably talking about that. But The Conjuring, the first one, absolutely love this one, and it's one of my favourite kind of modern horrors as well. And I think just as a haunted house film, it's definitely one of the very best of many, many decades, really. And I think just there's some things I'm not huge on, but overall it's a great, great film. And I just, again, seeing it, a very, very scary film, and it's just a warm, kind of comforting watch again to see this one. The location, of course, the Warrens in this one, just absolutely love these characters, and it's the first one, in the Conjuring kind of franchise, and it's definitely one of the very best for me. Monster House as well. I saw this very recently for the first time, and more on that very soon. But yeah, just seeing this one, it's a very, very nice film to watch, and I think just I did review this film, and you can check out my thoughts on it through that. But it's just it's an animation film that I've been hearing about for many, many years, and I saw this a little bit as a kid, but not all the way through, and didn't really just gravitate towards this at the time, and I finally watched this film this month, and really, really like this film. So there we go, Monster House. Then we have An American Werewolf in London, a few days before Halloween, and this is one of my favourite horror films, and the comedy horror as well. Obviously, it's one of the very best. I think just seen this so many times growing up, and again, some real scary moments in this. Some jump scares that are probably some of the best and most frightening things in cinema history. And I think just the narrative, the characters, the way this flows throughout, it's just an absolute masterpiece. The script to this, and the effects. It's some of the very, very, probably top 5, effects in certain moments in the film in cinema history, and I think it's just some of the most iconic moments in horror, and yes, it's one of my personal favourites. A couple of Tim Burton's here. We have Sweeney Todd, of course, from 2007, and we have Beetlejuice. Both of these films, I consider to be masterpieces, and some of the very best Tim Burton films. We make a point as well of watching these films around the Halloween period, and if we can, every year, every other year, really, and it's just, they're so kind of Halloweeny, and I think Beetlejuice really, it could be in many ways the most Halloweeny film ever made. It is just it gets me in that spirit, and it's just one of my favourites. It's actually grown on me even more than the last few watches of this, and I think it really is one of the very best Tim Burton films, and just one of the best films ever made for me personally. It really is among my favourites, and it's just from start to finish, it is perfection to me. And Sweeney Todd is almost perfect as well. Absolutely love this one personally, and it's just it's absolutely stunning. What a film! After seeing it again, I was just blown away by this. So yeah. Then we have the last couple of films of the Halloween month were Rosemary's Baby. Now this is a one that we'll be reviewing very soon. I have a lot to say about this one. It was just something else. And I did see this one before, but it was just once as a kid, and I can't really remember too much about this. I remember thinking it was scary as a kid, but seeing it again, this was obviously a completely different experience, and it's just one of the most scary films ever made. And more on that. We'll get to that when I review the film. But yes, definitely, it's a film that was better than I was expecting in that sense. Of memory, and it's just simply a one that as a kid, for example, you might not appreciate, but when you're an adult, kind of watching it, it's just. I watched it on 4K as well. Again, the 4K wasn't great, not one of the best 4Ks, but it was great to see this, on physical media and finally see it, in HD, of course. I'd never seen that before, and it's just a film that I'll be talking about in my review. But it was really great. And on the day of Halloween, I saw A Nightmare on Elm Street, and rewatching this, one of my favourite horrors again, and it's just it's one of the very best slasher films. Freddy for me is just an iconic character, and it's one of the best horror characters in cinema history, and it's just from start to finish. I love this one. Some of the ending, I've never really been huge on in this film, but other than that, I think it's just pretty flawless for me, really. And as terms of Wes Craven, I think wow, this and Scream, it's just unbelievable stuff. What a filmmaker he was, and I think this is in many ways his defining film, and it's just obviously started this franchise. I'll be going through these films again. I'll be reviewing them again, but just watching them again, going through the sequels. I really want to do that, and that'll be cool as well. So there we go. That was the day of Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and in between that as well, I did see a lot of Treehouse of Horror films. Obviously specials, from The Simpsons, and I just didn't log them, of course, but just saw a few things as well. Family Guy, some specials and things that related to Halloween. So that was really cool, and it was a great month as well going forward. I don't just I'm not just going to stop horror films, to watching them and on the channel. With all that said, let's get into the favourite first watches of each month, and for September it had to be Chef. Now this one just blew me away. Of course, written and directed by Jon Favreau, and starring, of course, Jon Favreau. This was so great. Love the characters, the narrative, very unexpected, but also one that you could simply follow, and one that just as it went along, I was just thinking every so often, I just absolutely love this film. How is this going to end? It's just really just anticipating this, and what a film! Just so inspiring and so pure in the way it's done. The humanity of this, and really, I have no complaints about this film. It's definitely one of my favourite first watches in recent months, actually, and it just had to be the favourite first watch of September. Absolutely love this one, and for October, mostly a lot of rewatches of this month, of course, but the favourite first watch has to be Monster House, and what can I say? One that I did, really gravitate towards. I think the first half of this film, especially, and the final act, I absolutely loved, and the entire film though was enjoyable. It was creepy. It's really funny, way funnier than I thought it'd be, and just the one that I this time around really got into, and really love the tone of this, and the feeling of this. It was really atmospheric, but nostalgic as well, and feel good, and the characters, and just the hangout feel that the film has. I really loved. It's just a real great film to watch around the Halloween period, and really glad that I finally saw this film, and I always wanted to check this one out, for a while, and see it properly all the way through, and so glad I did, because Monster House, definitely my favourite first watch of October. So that's my thoughts, that's the video, and tell me your thoughts, on these films I've mentioned, as many as you want. You can kind of leave your thoughts in the comments, and get talking about a variety of films here, and also, what's your favourite first watches over the last few months, and what's your, kind of film activity been? Obviously October, a lot of people would celebrate the Halloween season through cinema, of course, watching different films. What do you think? What have you been doing? And what's been your favourite first watches, and favourite rewatches, all this kind of stuff. Let's just discuss what we've been doing in terms of film, the last few months, and it's been great for me. I've been having a great time, and been really enjoying, of course, as well. Uploading to the channel as always, and there'll be more content to come. Not just kind of horror films, but I will be continuing with the horror films as well on the channel, and it's been something I've loved to do over the last month. I realised how much I enjoy talking about horror, because it's not something I always do. At least in the last couple of years, it's not been something I've been doing as much. But I did start the channel out, talking about a lot of horrors, and I love just talking about as many different films as I can, obviously, and it's just always great to kind of mix it up in that sense. And won't stop now. Obviously, we'll be reviewing the rest of the Friday the 13th films as well very soon, and doing ranking, and more rankings as well to come in general. Really been loving this. The James Bond ranking as well will come by the end of the year, and yeah, just loads more content. I look forward to that. And so as I say, leave your thoughts in the comments, and it'd be great to discuss these films and what you've been watching as well, and your favourites over the last few months. So yes, just to celebrate film and celebrate film activity. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.